All right, let's do one more regular problem, and then we'll start looking at problems with fractions and decimals. So I'm going to rewrite this, but basically we need to get rid of those parentheses to start the problem. And so we're going to distribute the -2 to each of these. Remember, this has a negative attached to it, so you got to distribute -2 to each of these. So when we do that, we get 3, and then -2 times 9 would be -18. -2 times +2m would be -4m, and this equals m. Now we can combine like terms. These are both just numbers. 3 minus 18 would be -15. I'll just rewrite the rest of it. And now that we have variables on both sides, we want to move them to the same side. Let's move them to the positive side, the side with more. This effectively just has 1m, where this is a negative amount of m's. So to cancel out this -4m, we will add 4m to each side. And so -4m plus 4m, that's just 0. And we get that -15 is 5m. And working up here, we want to get rid of that 5 times m so that we can get m by itself. But to do that, we'll have to cancel out the multiplication, and we can cancel multiplication with division. And 5 over 5 is 1, so that's how you just get m, or 1m. And -5 divided by 15, well, it's going to be a negative number because there's only one negative, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. So m would be -3, and of course we want to check this. You never know for sure that you're right until you check it. So this is the crucial step for solving all of these. So we'll put in -3, so we get 3 minus 2 times 9 plus 2 times -3. We're plugging that in for m. And this all equals m, which is -3. So let's see if this simplifies. So I'll just rewrite 3 minus, we'll clean up this inside. There's a 2 on the outside. And we get 9 plus -6, or 9 minus 6, which is just 3. And here we get 3 minus 2 times 3, which is 6. So 3 minus 6. And this does, in fact, equal -3, which means we can feel confident that this is, in fact, the right answer. So let's now look at some equations with parentheses where we have decimals and or fractions. So in this one, we have this fraction 1/2. So the question is, how do we deal with fractions? And sometimes the fractions will be inside the parentheses, sometimes they'll be outside the parentheses. So you need to really think these through. You might use different methods for both. So let me first rewrite this. We have 9f equals 1/2 times 12f minus 2. Now, if the fraction is on the outside, what I would recommend doing is to get rid of that fraction just in one step by using multiplication. Because remember, this fraction 1/2 is effectively, we're dividing this by 2. In fact, if you wanted to, you could rewrite this as parentheses 12f minus 2 all divided by 2. You're, in essence, just moving the 2 underneath it, whereas the top is multiplied by 1, but we don't write that. So either way you want to think about it is fine, but effectively we have this division by 2 that we can cancel out. And to cancel out division, we can use multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 2. And when you multiply, you have to multiply every term by 2. But since this is in parentheses, this is technically just one term. So and this is only one term over here. So we just have to multiply both of these terms by 2. Now, if this was split up, like 12f minus 2, then both of them would have to actually be explicitly multiplied by 2. But we only have to write it once because effectively you could think of it that this 2 distributes to both of those. So anyways, by writing multiplication by 2 on both sides, we have 2 divided by 2, and that's just 1, so those go away. And over here we get 18f, and this is 12f minus 2. So we're able to drop the parentheses because effectively we have 1 times the parentheses, since 2 over 2. Remember, something divided by itself is just 1. So we have 1 times the parentheses, and 1 times anything is itself. So now we have an equation with variables on both sides, but we don't have any fractions anymore, which is nice. And we want to move them to the side with more, the variable terms. And so this is kind of an invisible plus sign here. So we have a positive 12f, which we can cancel with subtraction. And we want to do that to both sides of the equation. And we know 18f minus 12f is 6f. And 12f minus 12f, that's just 0. And this equals minus 2. And from here, we want to cancel the multiplication. We'll do division to cancel that. So that's just 1. And so f is minus 2 divided by 6, which we can simplify, divide top and bottom by 2, into minus 1/3. So we got an answer, though it is a very tedious answer to check. But we did get an answer. And even though this is hard to check by hand, we're going to do at least one by hand so that you can see how to do it. But like I mentioned, in a later video, I'll show you how to do this with the calculator so that you don't have to plug in these fractions, because this will get messy if the fractions are pretty bad. So let's check this. We're going to plug in f is minus 1/3 into our equation. So we get 9 times minus 1/3 equals 1/2, parentheses, 12 times minus 1/3. And then we're going to subtract 2 from that. So I'm going to move over now. So minus 2. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then we have a negative. So this gives us minus 3. And I'll work within the parentheses first. So we have 1/2 parentheses. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And we have a negative. So you get minus 4 minus 2. And so minus 3 is a half of, this is minus 6. So we want 1/2 of minus 6, but half of minus 6 is minus 3, which means we can feel very confident that this is, in fact, the right answer. So even though you have fractions, it's harder to check, but you can still do it. In fact, you can always do this. And until you have mastery of doing this by hand, you probably shouldn't use the calculator yet. But once you feel comfortable doing this by hand and you're always doing it correctly, then feel free to watch the video on how to check these with the calculator, and that will save you some time.